So today is April 22nd. It's Earth Day. Supposed to plant a tree today.
Really today?
Yeah, today is Earth Day.
I did not know that.
Yep, you missed it. Your studio looks nice. Where's your studio located?
In Jersey at the time being.
Okay, so I want to talk about the beginning. Can you remember, like, besides art and being creative, like what other interests did you have as a kid?
Honestly, I always liked art. I didn't know exactly what direction I was going to take it yet, but to me, I always had a collection of markers, always had Sharpies. Probably in high school when I was doing custom T-shirts, because one day I got bored. So that's like when white tees was like big back then. So I tagged up one of my T-shirts. I went to school with it, and then probably within like 2 weeks, I had people like throwing me money in T-shirts, like asking for custom orders. And I really didn't do it with the intent to make money off of anything like that. I was only designing my own shirts, but then everybody hit me up to do like custom shirts. So that kind of dragged me into like on a routine of doing custom T-shirts, and I got into it. And then from there on, I kind of like just continued the graffiti.
I look at even tags, throw ups, anything, like even nice murals in Philly, some of the nicer ones, they are not at the level of you and other people from where you grew up.
I mean, it kind of depends on, well, it kind of depends on who's doing it. And I say it like that because people have the different reasons why they tag up. Or
Right.
some people just, it's like a trend for some people, like, oh, I got paint. I seen somebody else do it. There's somebody get my name somewhere. And then some of it, honestly, it's people that really are into it, but they didn't need to like really grow with it yet to really know how they really want to create their work. And then other people, I think it's kind of experimental, so it's not really like they even know what their work's gonna look like when they put it out. And then some people, honestly, I think they just do it because they really don't know why they do it. That's why I feel like there's a difference between when they say like tags or like actual like street art, because to me, tags is like kind of like a low grade kind of title on it. Like, oh, that's someone just like writing names or scribbling somewhere. To me, that's not, you can't really classify it as graffiti art. Like I tag, so I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I used to tag too. But like you said, you notice from looking at it, it's like you can tell if someone's really doing this, like it's a craft for them and they really like put their all into it, or it's just someone that's like, oh, they're just doing it just to vandalize, basically. You can put it like that. I did it because it was kind of like a trial thing for me because I was like experimenting with spray paint. So I really didn't get the hang of it right away. So I really wasn't a fan of doing it. But then I'll be completely honest, it gotta be the thrill for a lot of people. Like to me personally, that's why I liked it at first. It was a thrill. You're going outside in the middle of the night, you're breaking night, you're sneaking around, going on the highways or like sneaking behind back streets, trying to find different ways and shortcuts to get over a fence or something. And it's like to know the next day, like you can look at it and be like, oh, I just did that overnight, but nobody even knew.
Yeah.
And then after that, I kind of took a break from it because I really didn't see much coming out of it, like progressing as an artist. But then when I got more into the culture of it, I kind of like grew more of an interest in doing it more, but I presented it through body paint. And I did it that way because at the time that was big in New York and other states too. But then I kind of like merged back to doing graffiti street art, which I was cool with because at that time I kind of knew what I wanted to do. And so I kind of knew the type of work I wanted to put out. I was like, all right, I don't want to be just a graffiti artist. I want people to see my work in general. Like even if I presented the street art, it's being seen. I did grow up in North Jersey. I grew up literally right across from the water. I'm like maybe 10 minutes outside of Manhattan, right across the water. I grew up in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, honestly, I grew up in downtown Hoboken. So that's more of like, honestly, you get a mix of minority crowd. It's not really like, it wasn't, I guess you could say it wasn't gentrified yet. So it's like you had a mix of different races in the town, and it was kind of like getting to the point of like a separation. So it was like different kind of cultures in one town, but honestly, it wasn't bad. I mean, I grew up, I hung around the whole town. The whole town's only like 1 square mile. But I was always a fan of traveling to the city. Like I like the whole city vibe. Like the Jersey vibe is cool, but to me it's not really original. Like to me, I always like their fashion. I always like seeing their walls, how it was tagged up. I just like the sound of the subways and all that. I just had a thing for New York. To me, it was like I wasn't from Jersey. I'm from Jersey, but to me, I don't feel like I know.
I remember as a kid riding on the train, you know, you see it like, wow, how did somebody get up there? Like, where
That's
did
still
that
the
come
day I
from?
question it because there's places you'll see it and you're like, how was it even possible?
Yes, yes, yes. Like on a highway overpass, like on a bridge, like were they hanging by a rope or
I climbed one time and it wasn't even like to do any of my pieces. I literally was out tagging up and it was actually yeah, it was right somewhere under the turnpike and there was a rope already there. So someone obviously set it up already to tag up and that was their way of getting up. So I just got curious. I climbed it just to see where it went. So it went to an abandoned train bridge, but to like climb buildings and poles and yeah, I didn't do all that. Set up in my room already. So I would literally just spend hours creating and spray painting, just sketching, coloring, and my walls were like covered in like poster boards of like pieces I did. I used to have shoe boxes of pencil sketches I did. I had a lot of books of pen sketches I did. I had a lot of different folders. I had such a stash of like random sketches of like all my work. I don't have any of it now, but like over the years I just collected. It was like literally like a storage of like printing papers and all types of old papers under my bed.
I have a tendency to hang out with the wrong crowd sometimes and enjoy being out, you know, in the street. But having interest, being at home, like you said, you had the nice art desk, you had the supplies there, you had something that you were interested in. So you weren't going out messing around being with the wrong crowd, right?
So I mean, everybody has that maybe that one or two friends that get into other things. I mean, you can't say all your friends, you know, are on the same path as you or do the same things you do, but I was always like the type of person like I could hang around anybody. It didn't matter any type of things they got into. Because I've been around all types of people, but like you said, like my focus being out breaking night, I was doing that. Like they were doing other things, but you know, I dealt with them, but they did their things, that did my thing. So it's like I just stuck to what I wanted to do. I wasn't ever a follower. I just knew
I
what.
think that's where a lot of young people, right? They don't lead their own path. They want to follow a crowd and what other people are doing. So, you know, to find that interest is important, and you were able to stick with it. It was something that you enjoyed and you wanted to continue
It
doing.
was cool too because at the time when I was really like, all right, I'm a graffiti artist at this point because you really don't know you really technically a graffiti artist until you've been doing it a while and you're like, all right, this is what I do, this is what I am. So like when I would be out like bombing or tagging up, um, basically like I said, like I did hang around a couple of people. Everybody did their own thing, but I had even like the younger crowd, like not too much younger, like maybe a couple of years younger, that used to hang around and watch what I did. So they had an interest in it. Like some of them were really into it. Some of them I think it was like a trend thing, like, oh, everybody does it, I want to do it too.
Right.
But I had like my own little crew running. Like I taught them how to do certain things and everything, and like where I would go, or like certain things you shouldn't do, and then all that. So it was like that was cool for a while because I mean, I was still encouraging them to go out tagging up, but it wasn't like I was encouraging them to do worse things than that. Like they could have been doing way other things, but you know, my good path may look bad to somebody else's, but it wasn't as bad as other things they could have been doing.
So what would you say to young people getting into clandestine street art, I'm going to call it? What's the good etiquette? Um, what's what are the don'ts and what are the do's if you want to dabble in painting out?
Honestly, I would say for one, I wouldn't limit yourself on none of that. Like, don't put yourself in like a category where you can't explore other like craft into it. Like a lot of people think like, oh, if you just paint with brushes and acrylics, you're gonna just paint brushes and acrylics onto canvas all day. You're not gonna go out and do like graffiti art. Oh, if I do abstract art, I can't do graffiti art. Or if I do graffiti art, I can't do any other type of art. Like I touch up on everything. Like even styles of art that I didn't understand before, I'll try it out just to see like, all right, I don't want to judge it. Let me try it. And if it's for me, I do it. If it's not, I'm like, all right, I tried it. I at least did it. So it's like, really don't limit yourself. Like, try out different fields of what you want to do. Don't just limit yourself to one direction with it. Like, spread out and do like different things with it. because I started out with markers and pencils. I didn't ever think I would spray paint. I didn't think I would ever use acrylics. I didn't think I would ever use paintbrush at all.
You're doing like maybe a mixed type of media work sometimes.
Yeah, I would say so because a lot of my pieces are acrylic painted, and I use spray paint for certain effects of it, or it'll be vice versa. I'll do a spray paint piece, and then there's something I want to detail, and I want to get that more of a paintbrush look to it. I'll definitely use that.
And what is this beautiful piece behind you on the wall? What are we looking at there?
That's actually a self-portrait of me that I did for the show I just had literally about 2 hours ago.
Oh, you just had a show a couple
I
hours
literally just
ago.
had a show. So right before I logged on with you, I literally just finished up one of my shows.
Oh, congrats. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. So you had some people come into this space where you're at right now?
I'll actually give you a walkthrough because I actually got my stuff out still.
Okay, let's check it out.
As soon as I figure out how to flip my screen.
Okay.
Okay, there it goes. So this is what I was saying, like this right here, the background of it, I did use spray paint, but a lot of that is actually acrylic hand painted, and then I did my whole little effect over using just straight acrylics.
Yeah, I like the splatter effect over the Prez.
So I got that one going on. This one was a mix also of acrylics and spray paint. This one I added on maybe like 3 times. I layered that about 3 times with straight acrylics.
I'm seeing the cartoon influence come through on these.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Then I have this right here.
Oh, there's my
Bart
man
Simpson.
right there.
Yeah, my Bart Simpson piece. I tatted him up a little bit.
Oh, he's bad Bart. Badass, lit up.
That one's another mixed one too. I use spray paint and I hand painted acrylic with that also.
Okay, the eyes, the smoke.
This one's all acrylic, and then I added some spray paint in the corners.
Nice.
This one's a mix of everything. I did basically spray paint. I dragged some acrylics on there. I did some hand painting on there. And that's the street I grew up on right there.
Oh, I love it. All right.
And then yeah, that's the piece you were talking about right here.
Yeah.
This one was actually spray painted first, and then I hand painted over it.
Okay, and then now I can see your hair.
Yeah, you'll see it if I get closer. You'll see the actual line work in it.
Yep.
But you can see, like, I like clean work, but I always leave that authentic, like, the roughness to it.
Yeah, this is super clean, but yeah, it's definitely you've got some dimension in these pieces. And
that's one of my other ones right there.
Oh wow. Okay. Talk about dimension.
Yeah. And then these are the pieces I think you were talking about. That was the Halloween body paint one I did.
Yeah, I love it.
This is some of my digital art. So I basically sketched it out and then I got it digitalized. This is all pencil. I sketched that for about maybe like 3 hours.
Okay.
Same with this one, that's all pencil. And then these are previous body paint shoots I've done.
Yeah, they turned out nice frames.
Right there, that's the Michael Myers one.
Wish I could have came by and see it in person, but I appreciate the tour. It looks good on your camera from here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what I was like, yeah, we could do this interview tonight. I was like, I got a lot of work you could see, and I didn't even really post any of this work either. I literally, like, you just got the first view of it besides the people that came to the event.
So how did you feel about the feedback from the event?
It was cool. I kept it private. I kept it really minimum. I didn't really want it to be like a really huge public event. So I invited, like people that I feel like really support my work. They invited their friends. So it was more like a family. It's more like a family event to me, honestly.
Okay.
But I liked it. It was a good trial to see like really what I want to do in my next show too. Because this was my first solo art show.
Body painting seemed to get really popular a few years ago. It seemed to like draw a lot of crowds to like right before pandemic, like there would be events at clubs or bars, and it's like the
Well, that's how
body
I actually started
was the
doing it
draw.
first. I got invited. I think it was shrimp was big at the time. So shrimp is like this. It was like this whole graffiti community online, and they would go from like different major states, and I think they were actually countrywide. I might be wrong, but I know they used to do different states, and they did New York. They put out a flyer for a New York one, and I wasn't really body painting it. I was literally just doing graffiti still. I was basically drawing on people with paint markers at that point.
Mhm.
So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'll go for it because I knew my work was good enough to be in it. So I was like, all right, I'll still go. I don't know if people were going to be using paintbrushes, whether they were using airbrush, but I was like, this is how I do my work. That's how it comes out how I like it. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go and try it. So I submitted my work, and I wind up being like one of the, I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 featured artists because there was only like a handful of us maybe.
Okay.
And it was cool though because it was an event out in the city. They had people actually even coming out from like Canada and everywhere else to take part in it.
How often do you think events like that are happening?
Okay, so trap art,
Mhm.
I took part in the 2 times that I was aware that they came into the city. Body paint day in the city. I got invited to that maybe like 3 times already. I didn't take part in it yet though. It's
Is
more.
that an outdoor event?
It's kind of like it's a festival, but kind of like for a purpose. So it's not just for the body paint. They always have a message they try to get across with it, which I think is cool. But I just never did it because it's like I don't know how much time you get to paint each person. I don't know exactly how long you got to be outside. Plus, you're in a crowd of a lot of people because it becomes like a big thing because they do like a whole walk for it. And then I think they usually go to like Washington Square Park in the village and they like do a whole celebration of it. But ever since the whole COVID thing, like just the big crowds and everybody just around, and then you think it's a hot day and people got paint there, it's sweating there. It just seems like a lot.
What does your artist name mean to you?
Okay, so before I wrote Curse, which I felt it was kind of like a jinx anyway, which which I started feeling like it was. So, and then I just felt like I just had so much bad energy that came along with it. And it's like all the stuff I like experienced under that name at the time, even though that was just my art name, that wasn't really obviously my identity, but it was like, it was just a time that a lot of other things went on. I was like, I don't want that reminder. So it was like, it was time to just let that name go. So I was like, I want something really positive. I was like, and I wanted to mean something. So I was like, all right, I started playing around with names. And I was like, all right, presence sounds cool, but you think of presence, it could go either way. Presence is like you can give, so presence is like the current time being. So it was like I thought it was cool. It's like I'm gifted, like I got gifted with the ability to create how I do. So gift presence, I got that, and I was like, oh, it's cool though because I can always make sure my presence is felt when people see my work. That's
Yeah,
why I write Prez for short because I don't always write presence. I'll either write Prez or I'll write presence, but that's basically the meaning behind it.
you're at it sounds like a more mature, developed point in your life where you're sharing your gifts with the world in a positive
Exactly.
way. And that's what life is all about, being a human, sharing and connecting and being in the moment, being present. That's a beautiful thing. As I think as we get out of this post-pandemic world, I think people are going to want to gather more, just in a different way and make it more valuable. So instead of big crowds of people crammed in, um, doing smaller shows or more private events, I think would appeal to me and most people. Um, so say someone or a group of individuals, like a group of friends, wanted to have a body paint party where it was you or maybe some other artists. Um, how would that work? Where if they came into the studio and could several people get painted in one evening in like a private event?
Okay, so I could paint numerous people at a time because I like at my event, I want to do it in my bigger event though. Like this event, I kept kind of like more personal and like small. It
Mhm.
was more of like a mellow, laid back kind of vibe because I'm not really like the rowdy type like that anyway. So I don't really like being around a huge crowd. I honestly don't like the fact of having everybody around. You really can't watch everything that's going on. It's like not to sound crazy. I just need to always like feel my comfort zone. Like I have to know what's going on around me while I can focus on what I'm doing.
Yes.
So, that's why I kept my first show private because I'm like, all right, at least I know it's laid back. I know everybody's vibe that's coming. I can create, it'll be an enjoyable time for everybody to see my work. I could have my own vibe going. I could appreciate my work for myself because it's like I put work, like weeks of work into it. So I'm like, it was cool to do it like that. Now, if it was to the point like you said, like if I did a bigger event and I had like maybe another artist, and it became like a event where there's other people like that took part in it and it was like more of a big public thing, like yeah, I could easily paint numerous people
Mhm.
because like you said, it's two artists, so they'll be working on whoever they're working on. I'll be doing my art. But that kind of goes back to like what the nightclubs are like that used to do the events. It was the same thing. There'd be people there and they choose whoever they go to, but I always did my type of art. And then if someone wanted to take the time out and have the patience, I would do a big piece, like a full body piece. Or like I would do like little like sleeve pieces, things like that. But I used to fly through those. I like painting bigger more than anything though. So
Right.
I prefer to like start one piece and I take my time on it.
Right. Right. But what if a small group of people wanted to have a paint party? Like,
Yeah, I would do it.
it,
I would say honestly, if I did a small party like that, like you said, it would be a small group of people. It would probably be like maybe 10 people, maybe. I would show up and then I would basically just paint how I usually do. I would be fine with that because I know I'm the only artist. It's not like you feel like you're in the way of anybody else. It's kind of like basically you're the featured artist for the night. So it's like you do your own thing. You're not working on anybody else's pace. You're just doing what you do.
right. I would think that would be an event, post-pandemic event that people would enjoy. And
Yeah, I actually got a couple of invites to like a lot of paint and sips that people want to set up because I'm getting into doing like
paint
I'll,
and sip. Be
yeah,
painted and sip.
either like that or basically like I'll have like a lot of my designs drawn out on canvas and then they'll just basically create color wise how they want to. But I got invited to like take part in both. Like some people want to set up events where it's like it would be just strictly body paint, like small groups, like you said, and then there was other ones that it would be a sip and paint, but then a mix of body paint. So it's like there's a lot of different directions it could go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just can't be invited to like a big event, like somebody like, oh, we got this event going on. We invited this many artists, but we're also gonna have vendors for this and that, and it's a party here. Like that's when I get on like investigation mode. I'm like, all right, so who's the other artists that are there? Who's gonna be there? What type of crowd is it? Because
Mhm.
a lot of these clubs I went to too, it's like, times changed. City's a lot crazier now. And it's
Mhm.
like when I was going to just a couple of years ago, there was like no detectors of what people were bringing in. You don't know what we were bringing. We were bringing bags. Of course, you think it's art supplies, but nobody knew what you're walking in with.
Mhm.
Plus, you can't mix a crowd of everybody either. So it's like to have that in your head, you're like, all right, I'm somewhere I'm not from because that's one. I was usually the only one from Jersey that ever popped out anyway. So it's like I'm already going as an outsider to them as it is. And then when I would go, you kind of see the vibe of who knows who, and it's like kind of like, all right, I'm just here. I'm just doing what I do. Like some people, some other artists, they're inviting, they're really cool. Like I met a couple of cool artists through those events, but then you get the other ones that they're into themselves, and it's like, all right, I do my art, but it's all about my art, and it's like they got their crowd, and they feel like that's their territory type of thing.
Okay. So
But
there's
plus
egos
you gotta
involved and different dynamics of people coming from wherever. You may not know what you're getting into.
plus at the same time it's not only that part but then it's also the club aspect as it is too. It's like all right, you're in a nightclub in the city, so it's like there could be a whole different other type of situation going on while you
Yeah.
have that situation going on.
Something could pop off and you're
Exactly. So it's like I kept it to a minimum where I would go because I got invited to a lot of different places, but some places I just knew it was like, nah, it's not my thing. Like
yeah. So where can people find you if they want to invite you and discuss with you what type of event is possible?
Oh, I'd say my Instagram. I'm always on Instagram. My Instagram is at _ PREZ _ NCE _. If not, I could actually even give you a copy of my card that you could post up. I actually got my email on there. I don't remember it by heart by now, but honestly, like DMs is the best way to reach me. I'm always on my IG. If I'm not, I always get the notifications. I always respond back. That's usually anywhere I post anything I'm even willing to share. So
Good. I've seen them on my iPhone, and they look great, but I can tell seeing them those pictures framed are really good images to have.
like anything you'll see on my Instagram, I literally don't even have prints of it. Like a lot of my work, this is the only physical work of mine that I own. Like any of my old work I sold or I gave it away. Anything else, I usually get rid of the prints. I haven't really get rid of the originals now. Like that's my thing now. I'm trying to do the prints so I can hold on to my original work now.
Yeah. So I want to keep in touch with you, and I want to see this new phase as it progresses. How you create, not just the live models, but body paint. But would you mind if you showed your viewers how a little?
Yeah, we could even do an episode one day if you want to really watch me create a piece or even like start the process of one. Because honestly, a lot of my pieces,
Whatever you're willing to show. Now, sometimes you don't want to.
I'm really comfortable. I really gotta be in the mood. Like it could be in the randomest times too. Like I could literally be traveling and see like a color scheme of somebody else's piece on the wall or something. And then out of nowhere, that's when it'll hit. It'll be like, wow, I could use that color scheme, but I know I could do this with it. I'm like, oh, that just inspired me to do this color blend I might have thought of the other day, but now I know what I want to do with it.
Yeah, that's why it's always interesting to me to be in the moment and see the creative process. Like if you're, working on some color or some strokes right now, and you can verbalize what it is you're thinking, you may forget about it later, but in the moment,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, this is what I'm thinking. And it's just like there's that point in time, and it's really precious. I think it's fascinating.
There's a lot of times where I'll think of something and I'm like, I gotta jot it down on paper. Or like I'll tell my wife a lot of my ideas. Like I'll be like, oh, I want to do this. I think this will look dope. I'll be like, oh, I think this will look dope if I tried it off. If I change something up in one of my other pieces, and I won't write it down. I'll completely forget. And she'll remind me, or she'll be like, oh, write it down. Just make sure you put it in your notes. And I'll have like pieces of paper. I'll have like in my phone notes or text messages like something I want to do. Because if I don't like at the moment put it down, I'll forget it.
She backs you up. She is a supporter.
Definitely.
Wow, that's great.
My wife's one of my biggest supporters. Like my wife and my mom, they're my biggest supporters.
Here you are, at your studio late night. It's almost midnight, and
I literally just finished the show. I was finished that show up. I started my body paint piece I did before that, right before the show. I was painting during the show. And then I took a tour of my own work, obviously, for a while, like taking it all in. And then like I jumped right on this interview. So I was like, all right, I got to get it done. I want to get on this interview.
What time of day is your most creative time?
There's something like I really want to create and I didn't get the chance to do it during the day. And I'm like really set on it, like anxious to the point. Like I'm like, I don't care how tired I am. I want to do it. Like I'll stay up and I'll fight my sleep to get it done. Like a lot of my pieces before that I showcased at one of my other one of those other pop-up shows that I popped up in. A lot of the pieces I did overnight. Like I broke night into these pieces. Like they were like middle of the night pieces. Like I just did straight through. Like I did this huge Stitch piece one time from Lilo and Stitch. And it was probably like the size of this one. It's probably like the same size as like that eyeball piece right there.
Uh-huh.
Which I think is like it's probably like 34 by 34, I think, or even bigger than that, I think. But anyway,
that's pretty large.
I did a really nice background, like a color splash. I put some spray paint. And I was like, I don't want to stop there. I was like, I know what I want it to look like. So I was like, let me just add the outline to the face. And I just added Stitch's outline. And I was like, nah, I was like, I can get the eyes done at least. And then I just kept going. I did it straight for like 8 hours.
You get that.
But it was like,
that energy.
Seeing it like after I did sleep, and then I seen it when I woke up for myself, and I really got to look at it. I was like, wow. I was like, that's crazy.
Did I do that?
Basically, yeah. Like sometimes I question myself, like, how did I do that? Like,
Yeah, late at night, my creative juices are done. My brain shuts down. I'm no good. I can't even talk to you. I'm not like I'm intelligible.
no, the thing is, if I have something on my mind, like even if it's something like just bother me or something like an idea I had, it'll constantly race. Like my mind will race. So it's like if it's something I gotta get on paper or something I gotta get out, it's like I have to do it. Like
Some of the best artists or even professionals in any field I've met are self-taught.
not like that. It's also I actually went to school for graphic design, like after high school, but it just wasn't my thing. Like I'm not into digital stuff. I like more hands-on. I like creating. I like making a mess with paint. I wasn't into doing codes or doing anything digital. Like I wanted to know. To me, I wanted to know the work was mine. Like I had to literally draw it out like with pencil to feel satisfied. Like all right, I created that. Plus, people I don't think see it from my way either, because to me it was like a personal challenge. Like I'm visually impaired. A lot of people don't know that either, but I basically took it as a challenge of my own, like, all right, I can do this. So I just kept pushing with it. So it's like, I feel like I was given that. That's why I push it so much too. Cause I was like, all right, I got bad vision, but I was given the ability to do that. So it's like, I work with it. I kind of balance it out.
Wow.
I may not be able to do other things, but I know like, I think I see the vision of certain things the way I do because of the type of vision I have.
And nobody will know how you see the world.
Like if I have perfect vision, I don't think I could do that at all.
That is so interesting. I can't comprehend that right now. But in a way, I'm seeing what you're seeing. Nobody can teach you to be, um, really good at your craft. You can nurture it. You can learn the foundations, but
it also builds the
take it at the next
confidence.
level.
That also builds the confidence as a creator too, because it's like, all right, you know when you hit the level of like you know what you're doing. Like anybody could tell you they like your work. Like there's plenty of pieces people could say they like. If I don't like it, I don't feel like it was executed. So I'm like, all right, I didn't do a good enough job. I didn't put my all into that.
To wrap up tonight, that's an awesome perspective because you are self-taught. You've had the foundation, and you just said what I kind of wanted to ask you.
I told you when you first talked to me, so I'm gonna answer your question.
Yeah, your mind is amazing. I tell you, man. Out of and you may not want to answer this, but I'm curious. I'm really curious. All the new stuff that you just created in this past few weeks, which is your favorite? Which do you think was executed on the highest level of you? If you could choose one.
No, see, I could choose three. I don't know if I could choose one. Okay, I'll do this then. I could choose one painting and then I would say my wall piece. So aside from my wall piece that you see behind me, I would honestly say one of these. I can't even pick which one. So I'll just show you which one, like the two, because I can't pick which one I would honestly say would be my favorite.
Okay. You gotta pick a canvas?
I would say this one and definitely this one. I would honestly probably say more of this one because what it means behind it. To me, like when you ask like what inspires me to what I do, that's like basically right there. Like that's being in my mind. Like you see in the eyeball there, which represents my vision of it, but all it is going on around it is like that's my mind racing. Like
it's
when I
racing, it is like
So I would honestly say yeah, it's definitely this one.
Man, that John is blasting through the galaxy right there.
And then not only that, it also gives a mix. It was a transition from black and white to color. That's really what it was.
Awesome. Heading out to the light. I love it.
Thank you. That's one of my favorites, though. Definitely. Besides the wall, I would honestly say the wall was my first choice because I actually shocked myself with the wall. But I would say like my piece that I was really proud of, I was honestly that one.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad you're able to pick a couple for me. Really enjoyed speaking with you tonight.
Same here. I
Keep in
appreciate taking your
touch
time.
and keep following you. Great talking with you.
But yeah, anything new, I'm gonna be posting like crazy over the next like 2 days because I want to make sure my new pieces get posted. I got a lot of reels I'm gonna create. I'm probably gonna like release a little bit of like snippets of like little teasers of what I'm gonna be working on.
Okay, to be continued. All
Basically,
right,
yeah.
I'll let you
I
get
got a
home
lot.
to that wife of yours that is very supportive on late nights. Before we leave out, again, how do people find you on IG? What's your handle?
All right, so my IG is at underscore PREZ_NCE_. And they can contact me commenting under one of my posts. Send me DMs if you want to do anything as far as like photo shoots, body paint sessions, take part in one of my projects I might be looking for models for. Get custom work, custom prints. I'm basically offering some of everything of my work, forms of work now. I'm doing prints of my work, custom painting still. I'm selling some of my pieces. So anything as far as contacting me for working with me business wise, you can always find me on my Instagram.
Very good. I appreciate spending this time with you, Prez, and we'll be talking soon.
Definitely. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good night.
You too.